friends, Jen here with Serenity Hill Farmstead. If you recall, we made this beautiful greenhouse last year. I'll pop the video up so you guys can see how we made it. However, we had catastrophic failure. It was not a structural issue, it was a plastic issue. And since then we decided we're not gonna have it here anyway. So we went ahead and ripped off the cattle panels and we used it for another project. And we just kind of let everything else go. I still have my pile of windows. That is actually, I'll put in another video, going to be a greenhouse right here in the center of the garden. The vegetable garden, don't get dizzy, is moving way over here because this is where the house is going to be eventually. So we're going to put that over there, and this is going to be a whole different thing. It's going to be gorgeous, and I'll share along the way with what we're doing there. But today is a get this taken down. We're going to do as much of it as possible. We're kind of fighting the weather a little bit. It's drizzling right now. A little rain never hurt anybody. But if it starts pouring, we're going to have to call it for the day since we're working with power tools. So Wyatt is going ahead and getting the drill to start taking apart these pallets. We just have them held together with 3-inch screws. And I am taking care of the jungle around here. And we're going to go ahead and get these piled up in our junk pile to use for another project another day. And we'll start moving windows over to the greenhouse area and get this project moving. All right, so we got mowing and edging done on 3 sides here. Sloppy, but it's done enough. And Wyatt had a heck of a time getting the screws out. So a lot of them are just, they're breaking off or they are stripped. So we are resorting to crowbar use. Now we have pretty much, it looks like a lot of garbage, but it's actually mostly not garbage. So we need to move things around. We've got the pile of windows, they're gonna move in there. This thing is garbage. We've got some trellises we'll reuse for other spots. And we've got bags of soil and things in here that we'll put wherever it needs to be. But this is all we're gonna do today because this sucker right here has a bunch of wasps in it. So my husband's gonna take care of that because I do bees, but I don't do wasps. So he's gonna take care of that. And we'll do this another day. I am going to get some contractor bags we've got and clean up the garbage as best I can without getting stung, hopefully. And then another day we'll tackle this. But I do want to talk to you about what we're going to be doing for the new greenhouse. And it's super loud because we're mowing. But we got to get the mowing done. So you're going to just have to deal with the mowing noises. I'll try and not get too close to them. But here is going to be the greenhouse. I think right now I have it marked out to be a 10 by 14, and that's going to be the greenhouse. That's where we're going to start. I'm going to start everything at the house still while it's real little. Once it's hardy enough, it'll move out here. We're going to have some solar in here, so that'll be our energy source here. I'm going to set up some solar drip irrigation in here. Super excited about some of these things, guys. And it'll be good. It'll be ready to have all of our herbs out here, all of our vegetables out here that are going to need a greenhouse to get really strong before I transplant them. So now I'm in the garden. I'm sitting right where the greenhouse is going to be. And behind me you see all of our tomatoes for this year. This is the only success that we've had in our gardening year this year. It has been a wild failure of gardening this year. And you know, that happens with gardening sometimes. Last year and the year before, this space was so amazing. It produced so much food and I was so thankful for it. But this year, it's just nothing has taken. My green beans are still, I think they've finally hit 2 feet. Y'all, it's mid-August. I'm a little nervous that we're not gonna get green beans. Tomatoes will be fine. They're still short for this time of year. They should be all the way up here. I'm getting tomatoes though. We've got some red ones in there. See that guy right there? We'll get tomatoes. I'm not worried about tomatoes. We have picked exactly 7 cucumbers. Watermelon is not going to happen this year. Pumpkins, probably not going to happen this year. They're only about 3 feet long, and there's 1 flower. It is what it is. A good friend of mine once told me that there are growing years and there are learning years. So this year we're learning. I'm not quite sure what yet. I'm waiting for the message. But we are learning and we are growing our infrastructure is what we're doing. We're not growing tons of food, but we are growing our infrastructure. And I am growing a ton of herbs. I'll walk over there and show you what we've got going on there. I am up to my eyeballs in herbs, and that's what we want because this is an herb farm. I have been able to produce a ton of herbal medicine, different herbal preparations. I've been able to put together a lot of courses and a lot of classes. I've been able to sell a ton at our farmers market. There's a bunch of stuff on the website, and there's just more and more coming in every day. So while we are strongly lacking in the vegetable department for our family, that's okay. We have herbs. Let's walk over. She found the one and only cucumber. I'm walking over to the herb beds now so you can see how prolific these are. Something that I don't do on our farm is I don't plant by rows. I don't go one long row of lemon balm, one long row of marshmallow, and so on and so forth. I like to interplant. So we'll do a section of lemon balm here. We'll do a section of marshmallow here. And then next we've got some new marshmallow seedlings in here. And then we've got some mugwort in here, and that will take over. That'll be huge. And then we've got some spilanthes coming up through here, and we've got catnip here. And these things are all perennials with the exception of the spilanthes. That is not perennial in our zone. But those will get pulled up, they'll get thinned as needed in sections. But I really like to interplant, and that way when we have classes out here, when I'm teaching people, and really, just because it's beautiful and it's fun and I love it, I can teach by systems. All of these things are really good for the digestive tract, so I can teach there. And here, really good for the respiratory tract. And this year, this has been calendula and California poppy and all of that. I just let grow over, I let the weeds take over. So when this crop is done, we will go ahead and pull these up because these are annual plants. And then I will knock everything down. We'll plastic over this, let it kill any of the grass seed and weed seeds that we don't want. And then we'll pull that up in the spring and we'll prep the ground and we'll be ready to plant the next annual crop. And in here, I have let this kind of grow also a little while too. We've got a lot of dock in here. We've just got burdock, and I am pulling all of that up by the root. I'll show you. Let me show you how I docked this. So burdock, super invasive, right? If you're in an area that has burdock, that's super invasive, which is pretty much all areas in the States. These right here is what you want to take off. And as you can see, we need to go through. What we don't want is this. We don't want it to flower. So we want to take those off, take these burrs off, because this is what is going to propagate new plants. This is what's going to make this super invasive. But burdock root, super, super awesome plant. It's got so many benefits, which I can do another video on another time. But we're going to let this die back. And when it's dormant, I'm going to pull all those roots up, and then there will not be burdock in this area again. We have a lot of, this is all goldenrod coming in here. We have a lot of white vervain coming through here. There was mullein growing through here. So there's a lot of wild plants that I just kind of let do their thing, and I let them stay where they were at. This bed, we've got a bunch of yarrow in here, and some of it I planted, and a little bit of it is just naturally occurring here. So this is all going to end up just being a yarrow bed, because this area, I'm finding that with the way water runs on our property, not a whole lot of water runs through this spot. It's a little bit lower over on this side. So I plant more water loving things over there and more drought tolerant things over here. Yarrow does fine in a drought. It does not like to have wet feet. So I keep that over there. In here is all Queen Anne's lace. Now, I think we're gonna let this all go to seed, and then I'm gonna have Queen Anne's lace seed, a little bit different than what you would use for, the normal Queen Anne's lace. We'll let it kind of tighten up here, and then it'll go to seed, and we'll be able to harvest the seed there. And here's a good one. Here's a good example. Here's a good example right here. So we're gonna harvest the seed from this when it's ready, and then we'll be able, see these? These are the seeds right here. So we'll be able to harvest all of that. We'll have a huge stock of that ready for sale and for herbal preparations. Let me get in the middle of this Queen Anne's lace patch is also a big alfalfa strip. And I had planted some alfalfa in here, and I wasn't really sure. It was totally an experiment to see if it was going to take last year And it did fabulous. And this year, let's squat down here, and you guys can see it. This year, this alfalfa has done absolutely fabulous. Again, we've had 2 cuttings off of this already, and we will have 1 more. And we'll be able to put that in lots of good herbal teas and preparations for us too. Here's something I want to show you. You guys have seen me talk about mullein many times. I've got a few videos about it, and I can link those down in the description box if you want to learn all about mullein and the 3 awesome things that they do. The flowers for the ears, the leaves for the lungs, and the roots for lower inflammatory back pain. But let me show you this. You see how I haven't collected all of those flowers, and there's more. I could still collect them, but you know why I'm not? Let me show you. I am letting it seed. I did not plant anything else here. This is all just reseeding. So here we have a first-year mullein. We have more first-year mullein, another first-year mullein, and it's just going to take over this whole area. And I did have to cut some down from over there, but this little patch here, I'm just going to let do its thing. And it's going to come back year after year because these flowers are dropping down. The seeds are releasing. It's going into the ground, and mullein just is prolific like that. It's hardy like that. So I am going to harvest, not today because it's been raining, and you want to harvest mullein when it's super dry out and hot out. And basically your afternoon sun is what you want to do. Oops, I just broke a leaf. But these guys, and you can see way down in here, there's more coming. These guys will keep doing this their first year, and then next year it'll pop up this long stalk, and then it'll repeat the life cycle. Remember when I said this long row that's got the calendula over on the other side and the poppy on the other side, how I let it go? I really let it go. I'm pretty sure there's a couple families of rabbits living in there right now, but that's okay because they're not eating my herbs, so I'm okay with it. And then on this side of the bed, we've got mostly sage, and I planted some thyme in here, and I'm just letting that kind of spread and take over. Some rosemary too, but I've never had rosemary come back in our zone. We are in 5A, and our farm here has this weird little microclimate, so I kind of feel like it's more 5B here because we have an extra, I think it's 27 extra growing days here than we do 10 miles away at our house. So it's really cool, but kind of weird too. And then we're back here again at the lemon balm. So I didn't show you everything that we have growing in just these, 5 areas that we have here. But just in that tiny space, we have almost 30 herbs, and that's not including everything that grows wild around here. And while we are definitely not at the scale we want to be, we are well on our way. And this year we have produced so much of certain crops like calendula that just keeps producing. The more you harvest, the more shows up, the more is there available for you. We are well on our way. So if you want to follow along and be here for the transformation of our farm and learn all about herbal medicine along the way, we would love, there's Caleb being sneaky. We would love to have you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you can get notified when we put videos out. And also you can watch the transformation of this building right here to become our herbal education center. So we'll see you in the next video. Bye.